Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I got a fearsome threesome with me tonight. Sean Little at Chicago, Flo hanging out in Chicago. I got Bryan Fonseca, MY on Twitter and the Action Network app. Bryan Fonseca on YouTube. I got Brandon Kravitz, host of the game in the afternoons, pre- and post-game show for the Orlando Magic, as well as the host of The Favorites here on the Action Network. We're going to do a little NBA title futures draft. So what I've done is I've given the boys the instructions that we're going to do a snake draft. I randomize the order. We're going to go around, and you get to pick a future from title futures, conference futures, and that's it. You can pick East, West, or title futures. The key with this is that each bet is going to be logged as, theoretically, it's $100, or we just do a unit too. Whoever comes out ahead is the winner of this. So even if you take the Oklahoma City Thunder at a very low price and you win, you're giving up a little bit of equity, because if somebody nails a long shot Western Conference hit, that can go ahead and take you there. So that's what we're going to do tonight, to try and find what the best value is as we evaluate title and conference title futures here on Buckets. Glad to have you with us. Make sure you download the Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks. You're going to get all sorts of great information. Sign up for Action Pro. You're going to get instant notifications on all the futures, including about 7,000 coming from Brandon Anderson over the next week. Our guy's been in the lab. He has been in the lab, and I'm recording with him tomorrow. Sunday night, there's no Future Jays this week. It'll be a Brandon and me episode on the Eastern Conference. We're going to preview both teams like we usually do, or both conferences, and we're going to run down the teams and tell you what our best bets are and give you our estimates of where these teams are at. He's got a player prop future coming out next week, and then he's got Betapalooza, which is Brandon literally finds a bet for each and every team. Jim Turvey's going to join him on that one. The following week, we will have a best bets episode that will be the best bets from all of our contributors with whatever their best bets are for the season. Any sort of bet that they want to get in on. I am also considering, we'll see if I've got time, putting together a little win totals draft as well for us to be able to team up and put those together. So be on the lookout for that. Lots of great stuff coming to you before the regular season tips off on October 21st. And of course, we'll have best bets for you each and every night throughout the week here on Buckets. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right down to it. So I did randomize the order in order to make sure that this was fair. I had the robots get me a randomized order. First up is Sean Little. So the order tonight is going to be Sean Little, Brandon Kravitz, Bryan Fonseca, and then yours truly. We are going to do a snake draft, so I will get first pick of the second round, all the way back up, etc. So that's how we're gonna do it. Sean Little, you got the first one. Who are you going to take?
Denver Nuggets to win the title plus 600. Let's be real here.
Right off the bat. Right off the bat, we're high.
I'm going to take my boy Jokic off the board straight away. When you start digging into the numbers from last year, without Jokic, it's kind of a shit team overall. If you really, really start to dig in, and he carried those boys like he tends to do, and they got in the playoffs, and they really made some noise, and I really liked how they looked against the Thunder. I was bullish on the Thunder all year long, just like we were bullish on Boston 2 years ago. But I didn't show it. Denver had me really worried in that series. I was actually a touch shocked that the Thunder were able to put together those runs late in games and close out some games. And I thought they were for sure going to lose and Denver was going to move on. So they addressed it all this offseason. When we talk about them shooting triples, 32 triples a game, that's dead last in the NBA. The Celtics shot 47, 15 more than the Nuggets. When we take Jokic off the floor, we know this number, 10 points per 100 with Jokic on the bench. Worse, outscored by 10 points per 100 when Jokic is on the bench. That's just not going to get it done. But you go get Cam Johnson, you go get Tim Hardaway Jr., you go get my guy Big Valanciunas, and of course, you got the old championship Juju in Bruce Brown. I love that. So when we talk about Cam Johnson, that's my first stop. Michael Porter Jr., I've said this multiple times, had the easiest job on planet Earth. Grab a couple uncontested rebounds, shoot a couple really good looks that Jokic and others created for you, and make millions of dollars. I think Cam Johnson's going to benefit from that, and he's a better just overall defender, and I think overall player for my money. So I like the Cam Johnson addition. Tim Hardaway Jr. is making $3.6 million on a 1 year. That's Ryan Hollins money. It's nothing. It's a huge get, in my opinion, for the Nuggets. Are we going to have a conversation on this very pod about Tim Hardaway Jr. stinks? We are. Are we also going to have a conversation about Tim Hardaway Jr. is on fucking fire? We are. So when he has those stretches, you just got to go with the roller coaster. I think his life will be a lot easier. The change of scenery as well. I love it. A big backup in Valanciunas that can also score for Jokic. So both units with Jokic, Gordon, Brown, Murray, Johnson, and you go to the bench, it's Bruce Brown, Hardaway Jr., Strother, Watson, and then Big Val. If Brown takes a leap, like I think he's ready to do, I fucking hate. By the way, fellas, I hate saying that he's gonna take a leap. Like Brown is really good. He's gonna get better. He's been getting better since he came in the league. If Strother can get better as well, they could be really, really good. And I think both units complement each other. Denver Nuggets, you gotta be ahead of the market. Like I'm not getting caught dead betting the Thunder at 2.5 to 1, where I've seen it in some spots. So yeah, Denver Nuggets, Jokic, retooled squad. This is an easy one for me. The first one off the board, plus 600.
I will hit you with quick notes on this based off of covering the Denver Nuggets being out in San Diego for training camp. This is the most engaged I've ever seen Jamal Murray, ever. I've never seen him this engaged. He has been, and he's backed it up with preseason play in terms of actually putting effort in on defense. Look, he's got to stay healthy, and that's tough for him. But the leadership has been there. He's communicating with each and every member of the team. He's like taking guys aside and really working. And Jamal's always done this, but like he's doing it at another level. He got guys together in LA for runs, including the Rico Hines run this summer. Like he took that leadership step on himself. He has been a different guy. You talk about Tim Hardaway Jr., the most hilarious like NBA preseason thing at going to camp. Hey, who really stood out? Tim, man. Tim shooting the leather off the ball. He is so red hot. Yeah, he hasn't hit a 3 in preseason yet. Like he's like 0 of like 7. It's so predictable with how that goes. But a lot of confidence in Peyton Watson taking a step forward. He's not going to get an extension probably. And so there's a lot of likelihood that he's going to play with a lot of motivation this year. That can sometimes be a problem, but I actually think they need a Peyton Watson that wants to expand his game a little bit. David Adelman is balancing this line between keeping what's worked for them, number 3 offense last season, but also trying to change some subtle things to make them harder to guard. The favorite thing I heard from David Adelman was we have to adapt to not only how the league has changed, but how the league has changed and how they defend us. That was like the thing I most wanted to hear from him. Cam Johnson, everybody's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Like zero people have any concerns about Cam Johnson. Like no concerns about his fit with Denver. The synergy between Jamal and Jonas Valanciunas is supposed to be very, very good. Still some questions, I think, with the bench unit, especially with ball handling, but I understand why you're on this. But my question, Brandon Kravitz, I'll ask you, was this a good value pick by Sean right out of the gate, taking the Nuggets plus 600?
Oh, it was great. I've been toying between 3 options if they were sitting there for me, and this was one of them. So I cannot, I can't push back on this at all. It feels like the Nuggets retooled the way that you're supposed to retool when you have Nikola Jokic in his prime. This is exactly how this roster needs to be built in order to optimize the superstar in the NBA. Last year felt like a step back. 1 step back, 2 steps forward. This feels like the kind of year to buy into the Nuggets. So they were definitely in consideration for me if they were to slip to 2.
Brian, do you have any objections? Or are we ready to move on?
This would have been my first pick, honestly.
Okay.
Just the values there. It's not a slight to the Thunder. It's just the Thunder are, like 245.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, it's just always tough to take a future when we're talking about to win a title, considering the amount of time we haven't even seen a repeat champion. So yeah, I would have taken Denver as well.
Okay. Brandon Kravitz, you're up next. What's your number 1 pick?
Well, I would have loved to have waited until round 2 to make this selection, but I will be pissed if they don't make it back to me. So I'm just going to stay on brand here as the Magic guy. And I'm going to take the Magic to win the East at 6-1. This is a 3-headed monster. I think there's a tier of 3 right now at the top of the Eastern Conference. The Cavs, the Knicks, who are more established than where the Magic are, but the Magic have pushed all of their chips in. They're good where it matters in the postseason, which is defense. I think they're the best of the 3 in terms of that side of the floor. Obviously, 3-point shooting had to get significantly better, but they addressed that in a big way. Tyus Jones and more notably Desmond Bane. I just think of the 3, if you look at where these teams are, the Cavs feel like they continue to hit the same wall, so I don't trust them. They're honestly, I don't want to show my cards too much early in the draft here. They're not even a team that I'm really considering drafting because I just don't trust them anymore. The guys that need to be healthy at the end of the year just aren't staying that way. And so I feel like they're a team on the descent. The Knicks were as hot could be last season. That was about as good as a season could go for the New York Knicks, and it finished with them petering out and firing their coach. So I feel like they're also a team that, yeah, they can make it to the finals, but they feel like they're headed in the other direction. I'm going to take the team. You heard Sean mention it. I think it's the most important thing that you can do when betting a future is try and beat the market. The Magic are on the way up. The other teams, they're not sliding down the hill, but it does feel like they're at least looking down the hill. And I'm going to take the Magic at 6-1 to make it out of the East. I do not think they win the NBA championship because whoever they go up against, it could be a sweep, but I think they can make it to the finals.
On the one hand, I appreciate you being on brand. On the second, this was a reach. This is a reach, and it wasn't a reach. Also, why would you not just take them to win the title outright
22
at 22-1? Thank you, Bryan Fonseca. At 22-1, and then just be like, hey, worst case scenario, I can hedge it. Like,
I think they're going to be massive underdogs.
They will be massive. You're right. If they are up against
whoever they play. If they go Thunder, T-Wolves, Nuggets, I mean, the numbers you're not going to be able to hedge it. It's going to be
Sean.
Also, Matt, this wouldn't have made it back to Kravitz because I told them I would have taken Orlando in the second round. Probably.
I was just about to ask if somebody would have taken it. Wow, Sean, were they on your list still?
I knew. I mean, you all knew this was going to be on my radar, but once I started getting, my people talk to league insiders here on Buckets, and I kind of know how things were going to fall. So I had to make a strategic move. They weren't my top choice, but they are my top pick.
Sean, would you have taken him? Were the Magic on your board?
Yeah, absolutely. They were closer to 3 or 4, but they would have been, without giving my board away, they would have been my second choice to win the East. So they would have been like my 4th pick, maybe.
You guys are in. Okay.
Defense wins championships. Or
I would like to see. I would like to see them do this thing where they take the ball outside of the little outside line, and then they throw it, and then it goes in. I need to see them do that like one time.
That's why Desmond Bane's there, and Dennis Schroeder will be there in February. Don't worry.
And God Sham God, I will ask you, Kravitz, is there optimism about the team's offense around the team right now?
Yeah, of course. But isn't there optimism around every team's offense this time of year?
Yeah.
So some of that stuff can get a little bit, sunshine and rainbows. But I think they made the right moves in order to get better. And a big part of their slide last year, too, wasn't just the fact that they didn't have outside shooters, which they addressed, but they dealt with incredible health issues. I mean, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, this has been detailed a million times. They only played together for 97 minutes last year. So that was a big part of it, too. There was so much continuity that was lost with all of the injuries. You had Paolo playing the solo show. You had Franz playing the solo show at one point. And then when you look at the end, Jalen Suggs missed most of the year and only played 30 games. So when you look at the numbers at the end of the year, they were bad, and they still would have been bad even if all those guys were healthy, but they wouldn't have been as bad as they were. So I think some of the offensive issues from a year ago, statistically a little bit overstated just given their health problems. And then, of course, getting Desmond Bane was huge. There's a reason why they spent up to get him.
I love Des. All right, Bryan, you're up. What's the number one pick? If you say the Miami Heat, I'm turning off this podcast right now.
Don't worry
Swear to
about that. Maybe a couple years ago, not quite this year. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be boring and take the OKC Thunder to win the NBA championship. I can't let them fall anymore. I can't let them fall anymore, and I don't think they're gonna make it back to me in round 2 either. Whereas a couple of other futures I'm looking at, I think one of them will make it back to me based on how I think Matt feels about at least one of these teams, if not 2 of them in particular. But OKC just has the best chance of repeating, I think, out of the majority of the recent champions we've seen. As somebody who was lower on the Celtics than consensus, and I guess vindicated last year, even though part of that was injury, but the Knicks were also up in that series before Jason Tatum unfortunately blew out his Achilles. So I think with OKC, if we're talking about, hey, this can be a dynasty, they have youth, they have picks, they're still getting better, they have all the right role players. It's like, how could you not just take them in this spot? You know, I can't let them fall to round 2. I think Matt would probably take them with either the next pick or the pick after. And I have a hard time seeing anybody in the East at least beating them in the finals. Like I could see Denver potentially taking them out in the series, and we'll see how it goes with some of the other matchups. But I don't think there are a lot of teams that can hang with these guys. Maybe Cleveland, depending on how they are health wise, from a matchup standpoint, and we'll see what the Knicks look like. But I just feel really good about their chances to repeat versus some of the other champions we've had in recent years who haven't repeated.
Yeah, what's annoying about this is like, I don't want to play this number. I'm very big on the parity thing. There's a reason we haven't seen a team go back to back.
Same.
Like all of these things I think are really salient. I expect the defense to actually shake a little bit, not huge, but like again, I can't get over. They allowed the most corner threes in the NBA and the lowest percentage on corner threes in the NBA. Like, there's just some of this stuff that is directly luck attributable. The problem is just like I did their exercise of poking like a million holes in their case, and it's still so far above everybody else. It's just so far above everyone else that. Like you have to have these positions. Like you have to have the Thunder included in most of your positions. We talked about this with MVP, where it's like, look, you can bet whoever you want, but you got to bet Shea. Like you just have to, because he's going to score 30 a night for the team that's going to win 65 games. Him not doing either of those things not happening would be a considerable upset. Like those are both minus numbers to occur. So you're absolutely right. I would have taken this one.
They also have they also have the depth, and they have avenues to get, like, if somebody gets hurt, they can just go get somebody else. Like,
well,
they have
redundancy that they don't need to, because they have so much redundancy.
Yeah, and they're adding guys. Like, I think Nikola Topic, once he gets over his testicular procedure, will be pretty good. You know what I mean? I don't know how he had that, but that sounds rough.
Look, all I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to go into this.
Yeah.
Had 2 kids. I got the snip. Things went sideways.
Oh, really?
Nikola Topic, I am with you. I am with you. I understand. And that's all we're going to say.
I'm going to need a sidebar after this episode.
That's all we're going to say.
But
go ahead, Sean.
To get back on track, I've talked about this ad nauseum, and it's my number one rule when it comes to futures. I only bet numbers I think aren't going to be there anymore. I think you'll be able to get the Thunder at plus 245 months from now to win the title, because there's a good chance the Rockets are really good. God forbid the fucking Lakers win 8 games in a row. Then that number is going to be
minus 200.
Yeah, exactly, right? So between if the Knicks look really good, the Lake, like, there's a lot of things that can happen where I think you'll be able to get this number around plus 245, even out in the market somewhere. That's the only reason I would say they weren't on my list, and they're not on my list because you guys know I love the Thunder. 245 plus 165 to win the West is nonsense. So yeah, I got to fade those guys when we're talking about preseason tickets.
I mean, it's hard to argue. Like, it's just not. It's also just not neat. It's like if you do not do this professionally and you are just like, I like to bet and it is fun. There's like not a less fun bet than the Thunder to win the title.
Yeah,
like it is certifiably unfun,
especially right now.
Right.
If you come back to it and it's the first week of the playoffs, that's a lot. That's a lot more fun than it is preseason when we have 82 games to go in October. So,
but since we're doing this draft right now,
yeah, I get it.
Gotta do
I
what
get
you
it.
gotta do.
Fun-
There's also a
Fonseca's
world, by the
sitting
way.
here
There's also a world, by the way, where we're in January and they're like 30-6, and the ticket is -120. So I figure why not?
Yeah.
Fonseca's sitting here like, yeah, you guys have fun with your long shot tickets.
Have fun. I'm gonna win this thing.
I'll have fun in the second round.
I'm gonna win. All right, for the final pick of the first round, I am going to take Cleveland Cavaliers title plus 850. I hear the criticisms from Kravitz about I can't trust him. I get it. I do. I think we got to contextualize what happened in the second round series. It's actually not the injuries to me. That's not the thing here to me, because I am kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. Did someone have an owie? Oh, that's too bad. You have to win without them. This is the NBA. Like, you have to be able to survive these things. If it's not your best player, if it's your best player, I'm going to be like, yeah, I get it. But guess what? Darius Garland's not their best player. He's not their second best player. He was their best player for 2 months of the season to start last year, but he is not their best player. However, Garland's going to come back. Donovan Mitchell took a big step backwards last year because Garland was cooking. He was basically like, let Darius cook. It's fine. I just want to win games. Mobley made the leap that we were all expecting, and everyone's expecting another one. Apparently, he's added a lot of muscle and is even stronger now, which is very exciting. And what that also leads to is you can play more of Mobley at 5. And if you can play more of Mobley at 5, that also means you can add another shooter on the floor, which is very helpful. Kenny Atkinson freaked me out, not going to lie. Starting Sam Merrill in game 1 was a war crime, in my opinion. I cannot believe that he actually went into a series with the Indiana Pacers and thought he could win with offense. It's fine. But they add Lonzo Ball, defender, perimeter creator, shooter. It's okay if Lonzo doesn't play that many games. They have the depth to sustain it. Craig Porter Jr., actually really excellent. The loss of Ty Jerome is significant, but they have all of these guys on the bench that are able, especially in this system, to be able to duplicate it. You still got Jared Allen. You still got the core 4. I think DeAndre Hunter is a way underrated addition to this team that actually didn't get enough. He got neither enough time nor opportunities to make an impact with this team, and I think he's going to be able to do that. The biggest reason I like this at 850, one, if you remember, Cavaliers went toe-to-toe with OKC last season, the regular season matchup. It's a regular season matchup, but they went toe-to-toe with them, and we know that OKC is vulnerable because both Denver and the Pacers pushed them to 7. They get caught in the second round. Yes, they bungled it, but we also have to consider that the Pacers were like a force of fucking nature. Like, it was a chaos engine, and everyone fell to them. So I am a little bit more forgiving of Cleveland in that spot, especially coming off of annihilating Miami. That was honestly like where I should have seen it coming. The next time that a team obliterates a team as badly as Cleveland does Miami, we've got to remember to fade them to start that next series. You get way too comfortable when it's too easy. Like, it was just too easy for them. And like, they talked a little bit about that after the season. The biggest part of this for me is simply the odds in the Eastern Conference. Yes, the Thunder are better than everybody else, but they are not as better than the rest of the West as I think the Cavs are from the rest of the East. I'm not in on the Knicks. We talked about it on win totals. We're on the under. That was a play. I do not think that the Knicks are going to be as good. I think there's a lot of ways it can go sideways. The Giannis thing could change things, obviously. I have some other teams that we'll get to. We have some other teams we can get to. But to me, it's like, look, this Cavs team won 60-plus games, had the number 1 offense, was a top 10 or top 11 team in SRS. They were a juggernaut. OKC was just a bigger one. So I at 850, yes, I will take the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the title. Who wants to object?
I got you. Nah, I won't object. I actually really like that play. I think they have proof of concept from last year. They had a few injuries. Garland's still dealing with the toe. The toe is such a nagging, unreliable, when is it going to flare back up injury, which is tough. Strus is obviously going to be out like 3 or 4 months as well when he gets back. I think you make a great point with Ty Jerome now out of the way. DeAndre Hunter can even flex a little bit more because he's awesome. Plus 850 is a long number. Also, they are just getting dinged because they've gone out and they flamed out in the playoffs 2 years in a row in poor fashion. But the talent's there, the roster's there. The coach, I believe, is the one that can get them over the hump and have, like I mentioned, the proof of concept. So yeah, I really like this spot. And if everyone is as smart as I think we are when we're talking about the East versus the West, there could be a real opportunity where they cruise and they play one tough playoff series, then they're in the finals, and a team coming out of the West is just going through the swamp from round one to the finals. And that could be worth an early game in an early series. So yeah, I really like this spot for the Cavs.
My issue with Cleveland is that when you look at the way they fell short in the postseason, you're right. It's not all about injuries. I think part of it was this weak link era that we have all been citing for the last year, that they actually fell into the trap of having too many weak links, especially in the backcourt, where you could pick on guys and get your shot. And well, that's not as much of an issue in the regular season where you're just running up and down the court and you're playing bad teams. And I mean, how many blowouts did the Cavs have last year in the regular season? It's a completely different game when you get to the playoffs. I understand they ran into a juggernaut, but I worry that the Cavs still have too many guys out there, unless Lonzo Ball is able to stay healthy and he can be a lockdown defender when they need him, that they have too many guys that you can pick on where your offense is able to flow in order to pick up games in a series. So I think they're a little bit too heavy a price for me, given some of their liabilities.
What is this no injury talk? Mobley missed a game. Garland missed 2. Like, why isn't that a massive deal?
Hunter missed 2
also.
Yeah. So what are we talking? What is this like?
But to me, that's
I don't want to blame it on injuries. I think you could blame a lot of it on injuries.
Well, because my problem is like the way that they adjusted to it, right? I will say this:
if you remember, just losing 3 of your 5 top guys.
Well, it was only for that one game, and then Garland came back in 3. He was a shell of himself. But I do think that game 2 is so important, because if they win game 2, remember they were up 2, and then the Pacers happened. Yeah. Like Pacers insanity happened, that we entered into the Pacers zone. And if they win game 2, it's like, okay, no matter what, we can get back for 5. But they lose 2, and then they come back and they smack them in 3. And I knew, like, I was on Pacers. That was one of my the few series I nailed was game 4. I was like, this is such a Pacer, like the Pacers are going to kill them, and then the series is over. Yeah. Versus if they win 2 and the series flow changes, I do think things wind up very differently. Like that last 30 seconds of Cavs Pacers, I think swung a lot of things for a lot of teams. So, it's me again. Hi. And I don't like this team. I don't think highly of this team. I don't care for this team, much like Job. I don't think this team is as good as they're advertised. I have real questions about their chemistry. I'm on their under.
Wow. Oh, man. Wow. Here we go.
I'm taking the New York Knicks plus 850 to win the title. So
I get Eastern Conference hunting, my friend.
Yes. If you guys are going to go, like, I like your
picks.
Those
are the 2 I was looking at, by the way.
But I now have the 2 favorites in the Eastern Conference to win the title. So it's like, it could be the Magic for sure. I don't think that they're not contenders. But just for me, this is really very simply, if I'm wrong about the Eastern Conference and the other teams I like better, and the Cavs melt down again, if I'm wrong and Atkinson is just like makes a fatal mistake, and they're one of those teams, like they're like the Jazz, right? With Donovan Mitchell, where it's like they were the number 1 seed and they should be so good, and then they didn't, right? If they fall apart and it's not OKC, then I feel fine about New York versus anybody else. Like there's nobody else in the West that I'm going to be like, they have no shot. Nobody. I'd be like, all right, if they got there, they have enough. Even if they have an easy path, and they might just have an easy path. Like if something happens to Cleveland and they have a year from hell, and the Cavs just get to breathe, if nobody lives up to the expectation, and the Knicks are just the team that's like, yeah, they played a bunch of teams that were hurt or not very good, and then they're in the finals, and the other team implodes. The Raptors won the title that way, and everyone thinks Kawhi Leonard is a legend because of it. So, to me, I from a strategic game theory standpoint, I got to grab the Knicks here. Thoughts?
A little surprised given how you feel about the team, but
I don't like it. I don't feel good.
It was the Thunder or the Cavs or the Knicks for me, and these three probably went in the order I would have taken them because I still think the Cavs would be a matchup problem for the Knicks, even though I kind of like the Knicks' depth a little bit more right now. And the Cavs are also entering the season with a couple injuries. That being said, I think this was smart to lock up both those teams. I do think though, because we're entering the season like, oh, Cavs Knicks, like the door is open for somebody else who we probably don't really expect as much to come in and upset at least one of these teams on the way there. Like I think because we're staring at Cavs Knicks, like it just might not happen. Maybe the NBA is going to NBA. Maybe it's somebody gets hurt. Maybe somebody gets upset. We didn't see the Knicks beating the Cavs, the Celtics last year, especially the way that they did, like legitimately punking them before the injuries crumbled. So yeah, I think it's a great play, but I don't know. I'm feeling very queasy about this Eastern Conference in terms of what this actually may turn out to be.
Yeah, it feels to me like it's kind of like drafting your handcuff running back too early in a fantasy draft. Like that, the Knicks pick feels like it is obviously directly correlated to the Cavs pick.
Yeah,
I think it's smart in the way that you clearly went into the draft with a clear strategy of I'm going to edge out a win somehow, some way. But we only have 4 picks, so I'm curious to see how you diversify. I'll like this pick more or less depending on how your next 2 go.
Right now at DraftKings, you can bet minus 250 for the West to win the finals or plus 200 for the East to win the finals, which I don't see many shops offering that. So just something to think about and maybe potentially track that price throughout the season.
I like it. All right, Brian, you're up next. What's your second pick?
I'm going to take the Houston Rockets to win the West at plus 650. I don't know if they can beat the Knicks or the Cavs. We'll see about that, but I want to take them to win the West at least. And that's one example actually, Sean, where I'm like, I'm not sure the West would beat the East. Like if it's not OKC or Denver, I'm a little unsure. But with Houston, even without Fred VanVleet, I mean, there's something they can potentially figure out roster wise. But if Amen Thompson, this is kind of an Amen Thompson ticket. If he's really going to be what we all think he potentially can be this year, maybe that's good enough to help get this team over the hump and get them to the finals. Obviously, adding Kevin Durant is major. And honestly, their depth in general and their size in general, like they're going to be obviously a pain in the ass. They're going to have one of the best defenses. They're well coached. They even have Royal Ivy, who was getting votes for top assistant in the NBA, who's obviously was a point guard for a long time and has been around for a while. I still don't know what to think about Reed Shepherd, but he clearly can play. I do think he's being trusted with a lot, and we'll see if he comes through. But listen, you're going to see lineups with Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun. That's going to be scary. You still have like Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith when he comes back and plays. Steven Adams is on the roster. Clint Capella is on the roster even. Jayshawn Tate, who is still there. Maybe they flip him and somebody else and turn him into something. Josh Okogie is actually getting preseason minutes as well. Maybe we'll see him. Like, this is a good team. This is a good team. This is a deep team. And I think their games, especially against Oklahoma City, are going to be fascinating to watch. So they were not who I thought I would get here. I actually thought they would be off the board already. There's somebody else I really, really want, and I hope they make it back to me in round 3.
It's a lot of young guys,
Yeah.
right, to try and make a deep run. It is kind of interesting to think about, like, what is it going to look like if it's Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith and KD going up against if it's, let's say it's not even OKC, let's say it's Denver. Like, Denver is tough, and they punish you for mistakes that you make. The ball handling without Fred VanVleet, if they don't add a point guard, that could be real trouble versus OKC. And I just think ultimately, this is a very takey position here. I just kind of think I don't really want to tie up long-term money or to in this exercise on KD. I don't think he's like a loser choker, right? I think he might be the best basketball player I've ever seen. And we talk about best, not greatest, but best. We have evidence of about 5 years now of his teams not performing to the level of expectation. And that's, I think, is deeply concerning for a guy that's supposed to be, that is like an elite level guy.
Go ahead and say it, Matt. He's not a leader. Is that what you want to say? Is that what you want to say, Matt?
He'll find us.
He will find us.
He will find us, yes.
He follows you, Matt.
Yeah, he does. And he chimes in from time to time. So this was plus, let's see, this was...
KD, give us a like and subscribe while you're listening.
Shout out, Katie. This is plus 450 average in the market. Now, plus 500 average in the market when it opened. And now it's 650. Is Fred VanVleet worth $150? Dorian Finney-Smith out to start the season? I don't know. So I'm not crazy about the pick. Sean, Brandon, you guys got thoughts?
I think KD might be just what the doctor ordered for the squad. The Fred VanVleet injury really, really stinks because it's not talked about. I know we talk a ton about, math problems and shooting threes and all that stuff, but just having guys that are willing and able and want to handle the rock is massive. I've seen teams lose point guards in Chicago and absolutely everything just go to shit. I've seen teams not address the point guard position or bench ball handlers, and it just doesn't work out. Or you try to morph a Devin Booker into a pseudo point guard, which is not the answer. You need ball handlers. So to see Fred go out, that was really disappointing. But I wish I had a crystal ball that could tell me where Lauri Markkanen was going to end up. I think that guy flips so many numbers for so many teams when it comes to the futures market. But I'm not mad at the pick from Bryan because I truly believe that Durant is in a really good situation where there's a lot of guys that are going to do a lot of dirty work, and he's going to be asked to do one thing and one thing only, and it's not lead because Ime Udoka is going to do that, and he'll be on players' ass. And this guy's just going to show up in the fourth quarter and be an offensive assassin like he's been his entire life. So that's how I feel about the Rockets. And goodness gracious, if Alperen Şengün starts pushing for like second team All NBA type hooping, it could get really spooky because I think he's that good. So I do like the Rockets.
I actually think in some ways we're getting a discount on the Rockets because KD has been such a disappointment in terms of what has been accomplished in Phoenix and in Brooklyn. And to Sean's point, this is a much different situation. The Rockets were exactly what Kevin Durant is away from making a deep run last year. I like the pick, but I don't love it because I think you should have gone all the way with it. I think this is a Rockets to win the championship. If they're going to make it, then they're probably going to get it done. Defensively, they're one of the best teams in the league. They miss KD's, what he brings offensively. And if it hits, it's going to hit hard, and they're probably going to win the championship. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually take that as my next pick since I'm on the clock, and I'll go ahead and take the Rockets 17-1 to win the championship.
Okay. One of the big ones here. Let's talk about actually like a finals matchup. If they're versus the Knicks, this wouldn't be such a problem. But versus some of the other squads, this could be an issue. Rockets averaged 12.7 makes last season, 21st in the league on 3-pointers. They lost 9.4 of those to trades or free agency. I mentioned this on last night's podcast. Or trades or injuries, rather.
Mhm.
So 9.4 out of 12.7. But you had KD and Dorian Finney-Smith. That gets you back up 4.7. So you're still losing 5. And it's like, well, they can just take more. They can. But honestly, getting into those shots, my concern is less about like their ability to make it. Like Reed Shepherd can make threes, and like maybe Amen Thompson gets into a rhythm and figures something out with his form, or Şengün makes more because he was draining him in a Eurobasket, right? So maybe they're able to shoot more threes, but KD is not, because he's just always like, if I feel like the right shot is a 3, I'll take a 3. If I do not feel like the right shot is a 3, I'm not going to take it. I'm not changing how I play. I'm Kevin Durant. He's been very clear on this. And it's hard to argue with him because he is, in fact, Kevin Durant. But when you're trying to build like a healthy offense, I worry about in a Cavs series. Let's say the Cavs did get through. Let's say they just got like an easy run. Nobody really challenged them and they got there. Like the Cavs they're gonna bomb. Now the Rockets are a great defensive team, but the Cavaliers also aren't like a bottom 15 defensive team. They're pretty good. And I just think Houston would be out. Like there would just be a lot. They wouldn't have enough firepower. Like they are built to beat OKC, gritty, tough, physical, offensive rebounds, beat them up inside, tough shot making. Okay. But you get past that and you face a different team, it could be a lot different. But I have a hard time hating on the pick because it is pretty good value here. And you now have number 3 in the, you've got the number 3 in the East and the number 3 in the West, Kravitz. So like not bad value here, I think, for this pick.
And I think that what you were saying about why didn't you go all the way with the Magic? I think the Magic and whoever they would face if they do get to the finals would be such a massive underdog that there wouldn't be a great opportunity to hedge and create a profit for yourself. But I do think that would absolutely be the case if you have a Rockets ticket at 17-1 and they make it to the finals. There are all sorts of opportunities and what you can do with that once you get to that point.
All right.
And really quick, last note on Houston. I think, what if they show up and they're giving up 104 points per 100 and their defense is better than OKC's, which is not out of the realm. I don't think, if they show up like they can, I guess, and everybody stays healthy. So it could be one of those things where we're begging them to score more points, but they just don't need to score as many as others to bang and win a 7-game series. So yeah, Houston, I love what they did.
All right, Sean, what's your second pick?
All right, it's my third pick. That was my second pick, huh?
Second.
Okay.
Third right after.
I was about to, my third's right after. Okay, that's perfect then. Because I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers to win the West plus 950 at DraftKings.
You don't really want to do it.
I don't really want to do it. I won't lie, but I think there is a case where Ayton is rejuvenated, Luka is rejuvenated, LeBron still. I brought this up on the last pod. LeBron led the league in fourth quarter scoring last year at 7.2 points per game. I don't even know how many people know that or knew that or looked it up, but that's the guy I think can still show up later down the road in the season. And Luka might be on one of those. So this is purely like Matt called it takey. This is purely just a hunch of, if they could get in a 7-game series, I think they could wear a few teams out offensively, and Luka and LeBron just lead the way. That's really the entire cap on the Los Angeles.
You're betting on
Lakers.
Stars.
I'm betting on Stars. That's a good way to. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, no doubt about it. So,
are you worried about LeBron having sciatica to start the season?
No, I'm not. I stopped worrying about LeBron about 4 years ago. And I truly think LeBron, when he knows LeBron is not he's just going to hang it up. And he might do a world fucking fair and have a 2-week extravaganza when he hangs it up. But I think he's going to be the guy that's like, I don't have it anymore, and he will hang it up when he doesn't have it.
He could do it too. If he had LeBron Fest in Akron, Ohio,
dude,
like everyone would descend.
He could literally set up a throne like Game of Thrones and just sit at the top of it.
And have them kiss
And
the ring.
millions of people would show up and he could just stand there and wave for a week and charge
That's
$1,000
amazing.
a person. And then, build a couple more schools in Akron. Like, he
Yeah,
could
I
do
mean,
it
look,
if he really wanted to.
one reason you should like this, if there is one guy in the entire league that the Oklahoma City Thunder fear, it's Luka Doncic. They fear him more than anybody else. Like, they do not want to see him. And I will guarantee you, if they face the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, they will not get the benefit of the whistle. That will not happen, and that would be very rough. So, I actually, as a pure Thunder counter, I think that's actually pretty genius. All right, let's pick it up a little bit. Let's go to round 3. Sean Little, you got the back-to-back pick. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll go Knicks to win the East at plus 255. I think I don't think I've heard one single person bring up Malcolm Brogdon in the entire offseason. And I like that addition a lot for them, even if he doesn't get on the floor too much. I think he's a guy that will be able to talk through a lot of things with Brunson, just schematics wise. Also, they've been looking for the guy to replace Dante DiVincenzo offensively in an aspect of willing to get shots up. And let me tell you something. Jordan Clarkson will be willing to get him up as much as you give him the rock. He will get him up. I think people forget that for Dante, they were looking at him. He was taking 13, 14 threes a game for huge stretches of the season and in the playoffs. They just didn't have enough firepower. I love the additions of Clarkson. I love the addition of Yabusele. So I like what they did. I think they're right there on the doorstep. And I think Brunson is a real fucking problem if somehow people don't believe that already. So, yeah, I'll take them plus 255 to win the East.
Bryan Fonseca, you cover the Knicks for the New York Post. You're on regularly on their YouTube channel. You do post game and watch alongs for them. What do you think about this pick?
I mean, they're one of the 2 favorites, and they're deeper than they were last year, and they have a coach who's going to play that depth. Now, I have some questions about the periphery of that. Like, what does that look like in terms of what are you doing with Pacome Dadier? What are you doing with Tyler Kolek? I think one of those is not like the other, but Brogdon, who's on a non-guaranteed contract and who presents some health issues, most likely and probably won't play 82 games. He's very, 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 very overqualified to be a 10th man on a team, if that's what's in fact he's going to be. My concern is just if they're going double big, which it appears like they are, Ariel Hukporti is going to be asked to do a lot at backup 5. And I think he can be a pretty solid backup 5, but he has to be ready for that because this not only the backup 5 spot, but Mitchell Robinson will probably miss time. Karl-Anthony Towns has an injury history. So they're a little bit thin in the front court. And they had this boner for getting guards in the offseason, like Brogdon and Garrison Matthews and Landry Shamet. And it's like, y'all need size. Like, you actually need a big. And that's something that was a little bit concerning to me. We'll see. They have avenues to address that in a minor sense. I don't think Tyler Kolek is so, like, I've kind of talked about this in the post a little bit, but it's a minor thing. I don't think he's somebody that you need to continue to develop because I don't know if the best case scenario is worth it. So if they're going to try to keep multiple veteran guards, they should do that. It should be probably Garrison Matthews and obviously Malcolm Brogdon. And then, Pacome Dadier, I think, has an interesting skill set they could develop. But they're really strong 1 through 7, 1 through 8, even 1 through 9. Like, I like Clarkson, I like Yabusele, I like Deuce McBride. Josh Hart's going to be playing with an injury all year long. We'll see how that goes. But him coming off the bench makes a lot more sense than him starting at this stage.
Yeah, the one thing that's spooky about both the Knicks and the Cavs is there's not a big learning curve for both squads. They're going to come in guns blazing, ready to go, rolling. And don't forget, that was only year 1 with Big Cat as well. So this will be year 2. They'll be ready to go. Mitch Robb from the start of the season will be ready to go as well. I'm interested to see how hard the Knicks or the Cavs go for that number 1 seed. There's going to be a stretch where it's like, are we going to go for this 1 seed? Is this important to us or not? And I think it would be massive for the Knicks.
I don't think you have to worry about that because I think the Cavs are going to be up by 10 games. Kravitz, what's your next pick?
I am going to take another bite at the Western Conference apple here. I am of the mindset that even though OKC is great and amazing and they won the championship last year in this era of the NBA, it's just so hard to do that in back-to-back seasons. So I got the Rockets ticket. Now I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves at 16.
Son of a
1.
bitch.
I was looking at them too. Damn it.
Yeah.
I think the stumble out of the gate last year spooked a lot of us that live and breathe NBA day to day, even though it's just the first 19 games of the season. But this team over the last 2 seasons has averaged over 50 wins. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. Ant continues to blossom as a superstar. They play top tier defense. They have top tier role players. They can bomb from deep. And they have one of the best coaches in the NBA in Chris Finch. They have all of the things that we look for in a potential champion. And to me, this is an easy draft pick. And Matt Moore is muted.
Minus the 1,000 cashes. Do you want title or West?
I want title.
Title. You want the full.
When I'm bet, yeah.
Whole
This is
enchilada.
my. I'll just I mean, I only have one pick left, so I'll let the cat out of the bag. The idea was if I'm taking anybody in the East, I'm taking them to win the East, and if I take anyone in the West, I'm taking them to win the title.
See, I am literally built the opposite, which I think is interesting. Like I just think that is the direct opposite of kind of my thought process for a number of reasons, but yours is probably actually a little bit more sound and not as galaxy brainy, which is always a good thing. I hate you for this. I hate you. I was very looking forward to this pick. I was like circling it. I was really ready for it, and now it's gone. And I hate
now you're
you.
stuck.
Very good. Okay. Bryan Fonseca, pick 3.
To win the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons at plus 1,300.
You son of a bitch!
Now,
like
we've talked a lot about the Knicks. We haven't talked about the team who could have beaten them in the first round last year, and were perhaps a Jaden Ivey away, so to speak, along with a no call at the end of, what was that, game 5 or whatever it was, or 6. But I think because this is round 3, we're trying to look at value here, and there's a world where, like, the Pistons won 44 games last year. If Ivey's good and Cade Cunningham, who, by the way, you can count on maybe one hand the amount of players better than him in the Eastern Conference. Do you even get to the full hand at this point? Cade Cunningham is really good. And there's a world where the Pistons have 2 all-stars or at least 1 all-star and 1 fringe all-star who have guys that can defend their ass off around them. Asar Thompson might have a breakout season. We'll see what that looks like. I don't think, like, Amen Thompson's getting a lot of hype. Is he that much better than his twin brother? Like, can Asar Thompson do some of what Amen Thompson's doing? Like, I think from a scoring and shooting perspective, he's probably not where Amen is, and Amen is not even that seasoned in that regard. But Asar Thompson, I think, can generate all defense buzz this year. Ron Holland, I don't know how much he's going to actually play, but he projects to be a pretty good defender as well. I like the Karis LeVert signing. Acquisition. I actually gave him a look for 6th man of the year. I just don't know what that team is ultimately going to look like. But Duncan Robinson going there obviously is a big time shooter for them, and we'll see. Like, they have avenues to actually improve this roster. I don't think they could win the championship, but if they can actually navigate the playoffs, and maybe you get one of the Knicks or Cavs in, like, the conference finals, I wouldn't mind taking my shot with them. I thought they played a very spirited series against the Knicks last year, and there was a world where they could have actually, if not win that series, at least pushed this to 7. Maybe this is a 50-win team in the Eastern Conference this year. I don't know. Maybe that's a little excessive, but I think they can get into the high 40s, get a nice seed, and, I'll take my chances at plus 1,300 that they can win the East. Muted again, Matt.
Oh, wow.
These are the next 2 on the board for me. I'm so mad. I was like, the Wolves always make the Western Conference Finals. Value play. Like, Detroit is the one that my numbers are like, they're going to be fine. And then, like, I love this team. I love Ron Holland and him making a leap. Asar, like, finished through traffic and bumped a guy back and finger roll finished and then glared him down tonight and almost started a fight in a preseason game. They have attitude. Cade is like an MVP level guy. I love this team. I really wanted to be in on them because I do think that they are I think they have a nice combination of things that I would look for in playoff series. They've
Yes.
got roster versatility, different lineups that they can play, and they can play balanced. They can shoot and they can guard, and those two things are pretty important in the game of basketball. So I'm very frustrated that you stole that from me.
That was good. Best value. That's the best value bet in the East.
Yeah, that's a really good bet. Okay. Los Angeles Clippers to win the Western Conference.
I knew it.
I knew it.
You can't quit the Clippers.
I can't quit. I did an adjustment on power ratings today, which I also haven't told Brandon about, and I gave him my power rankings 2 days ago. And it settled them down a little bit, which made me feel better. But like, look, man, I don't even need Beal and Chris Paul to do anything. It's fine if they're hurt and don't play a lot. Brook Lopez is foul and injury insurance for Ivica Zubac. They have Chris Dunn. They have Derek Jones Jr. Those guys are legitimately good in the regular season, and in Jones not as much in the playoffs. Dunn had a rough playoff series versus the Nuggets because you can scheme him out. But if you try that, the Clippers are now going to be like, all right, well, I'm putting 40% three-pointers shooters on the floor. Best of luck to you. Like, your lineup is geared towards offense. Well, we have an offensive lineup now. Leonard's entering the season healthy for like the first time in a long time. I don't care about the aspiration stuff this season. Like, their future is cooked. They are. That franchise is about to enter a black hole and be shipped to the shadow realm. But this year, they're fine. And Harden is still a tank and still largely Harden. And as much as I think Kawhi Leonard is overstated, he's still really good, and they have the supporting mechanisms. If the bracket shakes out where, let's say that the Rockets get the 1 and 2 is OKC and 3 is Denver. That's a very realistic outcome. And the Clippers slide into 4 and they get to avoid OKC and Denver until conference finals. Ooh, I like that spot a lot. I haven't projected too high here. They've got too much talent, man. They're well coached. I think the Clippers certain elements of the Clippers are very overrated, but especially here, like, the Clippers have lower odds than the Warriors and the Lakers. And to me, that's silly. They were the West's second best team after the All-Star break. And in the playoffs, they were probably the third best team behind OKC and Denver. So I'm taking the Clippers plus 1,500. Anyone think I'm dumb?
I get it, but I got so burned by them last year. That first round exit just really spooked me. I just don't think it's ever going to happen for them. So I get it, but they kind of feel like the ex that you can't stop texting. I think it's a bad idea.
I'm worried about the age. Obviously, but I mean, can they win 3 playoff series at least and get to the finals? And I do wonder, the youth of OKC could, be interesting to deal with. But I do wonder if they do get in that series, like, what that would look like. And from a front office perspective, because I also look at these as like, all right, what front office do I trust to be at least somewhat aggressive here? And the Clippers don't have a lot of avenues for that, but they do have some contracts that they can play around with and maybe try to turn something into something better.
Okay, I'm going back to back, and man, I'm very bummed because, like, I want to be the guy that's like, yeah, I'm taking the long shot and the ROI and blah 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 blah. Yeah, no, I'm going to take the Thunder to win the Western Conference plus 165. I'm just going to take the Thunder plus 165 to win the West because I get Cavs title, Knicks East, Thunder West, and I am, and it's like, yeah, like, congrats on nailing all the square favorite play. This is the NBA. Like, the good teams usually win. And last year, one of the good teams won all the way to the finals. And the Pacers were a really good team. But, like, usually we do typically tend to see that there's only a certain number of teams that can make it. And if I think that the Thunder are so prohibitively the favorite, which I do agree with their market rating, to win the title, they have to win the West. So I hate how boring this is, but I will grab the Thunder to win the West at plus 165. Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. Don't love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, like
nobody can argue with that.
No one can argue with. Yeah,
it's a layup
which is like,
in the open floor.
For me, there's no greater insult than me saying something that someone says I can't argue with you. There's no greater insult. Hurts my soul.
And look, I mean, we talked about how no one has won consecutive titles in quite some time now. How do they deal with winning the title? What if Caruso doesn't show up as big as he did in the playoffs? Like, look, I had a lot of money on the Thunder. There was a lot of spots that broke their way that couldn't have, and they wouldn't have won the title, and they wouldn't even been in the finals. So a lot of things, as well as they played all year long and as solid as they were behind the 8 ball a couple times and were able to wiggle themselves out. Now, what if Lou Dort takes a step back defensively? Probably impossible because he's the fucking man. But like, things can happen where they're just not as ironclad. And I don't know, man. Maybe SGA's been designing shoes, and there's just so much stuff going on after winning a title. They don't look as ironclad. They don't have that 1 seed in the West. Maybe Houston does or someone else does, and that comes back to bite them. So, look, it's of course I like the Thunder, but they could, of course, take a step back just like anyone else could.
And they had injury luck on their side, too. Let's keep that in mind. All their key guys played when they needed to play, and they didn't have to deal with any of that.
Yeah, when Chet came back, he never disappeared again, which was big for them. So, yeah.
I mean, look, man, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't tear his Achilles, what happens?
If you want the honest truth, I think they were going to lose.
Yeah.
I think the Pacers are going to win that game, too.
Yeah.
I think Halliburton might have scored 45.
Yeah. might have. All right, Fonseca, last pick.
There's like 3 way more exciting picks that I want to take, but I'm gonna just take the boring pick and take to win the Eastern Conference at plus 1,000 the Atlanta Hawks, because I have to. If I'm getting the Pistons, I feel like I have to get the Hawks, even though I'm not. Like, there are a couple teams behind the Hawks where I'm like, I'm not sure the Hawks are going to be better than them, but from a ceiling perspective, I think a matchup with them against the Cavs or them against the Knicks will be problematic for either of those two, what we think are elite teams in the Eastern Conference. Like, I think Atlanta, if this works, like, there's a version of, and I'm not a Trae Young guy. Like, he's not one of my favorite players in the NBA at all. But this is the best team that they've built around him. And I think Okongwu's good. I think Kristaps Porzingis, like, we'll see. I'm a little worried about, when Boston tends to get rid of guys, they're right more often than they're not. But can he be healthy enough during the season to be a fit on this roster? And I look at just elsewhere on their team, like, Jalen Johnson being healthy is obviously a key here for me, but he's another guy where I think this can be the second all-star that Atlanta has on their roster. Kind of like I'm looking at, okay, if Jaden Ivey could be that second guy who's all-star level for Detroit, I'm looking at Johnson in the same breath for the Atlanta Hawks. I think Zachary Risacher is legit also, which was a little bit surprising to me as somebody who kind of liked him pre-draft, but I didn't think he was like #1 overall pick worthy. But, the draft was a draft and it wasn't a strong class. But I think Risacher is legit. I think he'll be a good role player, if nothing else. Dyson Daniels, who I thought was getting a little overrated, but he's clearly a really good defender, who I think will be nice to have in the playoff series. And then, some of the other guys that they have, like Vic Krejci and Luke Kennard, even Nickeil Alexander-Walker, adding him, like, they have some depth to their roster. So I'm intrigued, and I want the ticket, not as much as I want the Pistons, but I feel like if I can't have Knicks, Cavs, or Magic, I have to have Pistons and Hawks tickets. I just have to. You
do not. As it turns out, you do not have to have an Atlanta Hawks ticket. I'm not going to fade them because I think the win total's fine. I'm under, but I don't know how I think the expectations for this defense are way ahead of what's realistic. It's still a pretty young team, and young teams oftentimes have a hard time defending. I'd never trust when Boston gives you a guy always be concerned that he's broken. Just be concerned. I'm worried about Porzingis. They had all these guys that could defend last year, and their defense was still garbage. So what does adding Nickeil Alexander-Walker do? What does it really change? So I am
round 4, Matt.
I'm out. We'll see. We'll see. Fair point. Kravitz.
This is like taking the diva wide receiver who's had some troubles in college, but they're really talented.
And look, your board is you took the favorites in the West and you took long shots in the East. It's not bad.
Basically.
Kravitz, what do you like for your last pick?
Let's get wild.
Ooh.
I'm going Spurs 65-1 to win the championship.
I looked at it. That was
at any point in time. Victor Wembanyama can turn into what it looks like he is very much turning into, which is hands down the best player in the NBA. Every GM in the league would start their team with him. If everybody's willing to say that, doesn't mean that he's head and shoulders better than everybody else. And what if that just happens and he also has a team around him? De'Aaron Fox is an all-NBA level point guard at his absolute best. They have some veteran pieces, Harrison Barnes, they had Luke Cornett, so it's not like they're all youth. And they also have incredible youth. So it's probably not going to happen. But if we're talking about beating the market, if Victor Wembanyama turns into the best player in the NBA, where he is hands down the guy, MVP level stuff, you're never going to see this number again, not just this year, for the rest of his career. So you might as well take it now.
I like how Kravitz has the Magic to win the East and then 3 West teams all to win the title. And not one of them is the OKC Thunder. If you're right, this is great.
That was the game plan going in, by the way. So I executed my draft exactly the way that I had.
It's good to have, always have a plan. If you're right, then running this back is going to be like, I will post this everywhere. I will create burner accounts on social media platforms I have never touched just to post this prediction. That is how good this is. So it's good stuff. Sean Little, take us home. Last pick.
Golden State Warriors to win the West plus 1,100. They looked really good when, Jimmy came into the fold and they stayed healthy. They do add Al Horford, who I love, who could still play, who brings a little bit. I'll say maybe Kuminga can add something off the bench and have some fun. But I do love Podziemski. I do love Kerr, of course. They just got a nucleus there. Steph, of course, still is playing at a super, super high level. And maybe they have one more run they could put together and get some injury luck, get a couple breaks, and they come out of the West. And then it's an interesting finals of whoever they play in the East if they were able to pull that off.
Okay. Our board is final. This is the 2025 Buckets NBA title draft. Sean Little's got the Denver Nuggets to win the title plus 600, the Lakers to win the West plus 950, the Knicks to win the East plus 255, and the Golden State Warriors to win the West plus 1,100. Kravitz has got the Magic to win the East plus 600, the Rockets to win the title plus 1,700, the Wolves to win the title plus 1,400 because he's a bastard, and the San Antonio Spurs win the title plus 6,500 because he's a genius. Fonseca's got the Thunder to win the title plus 245, Rockets to win the West plus 650, the Pistons to win the East plus 1,300 because he also sucks, and the Atlanta Hawks to win the East plus 1,000. I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the title plus 850, the Knicks to win the East plus 850, the Clippers to win the West plus 1,500, and the Thunder to win the West plus 165. I think maybe my my favorite part of this is how many of us have the opportunity to win both sides of it, right? Like that we could win multiple on one. Like for Sean, if the Knicks win the East and the Nuggets win the West, he's in a great spot. Like Nuggets over Knicks is a very, very possible outcome here. And maybe a reason why I should have taken Cavaliers to win the East instead of the title, but I do like how this worked out overall.
Last really quick point. If you are really serious about taking some of these futures on the West and the East and the conferences only, remember, pick a couple of these squads. If you think they could get to the conference finals, then you're flexible and can do all types of things on hedges and pick a finals winner later on in the year. So if you think they could at least get to the conference finals, if you like that, they don't always have to win the entire conference.
Who do we think won? Who won the board?
I feel like I had the most fun, and Matt is gonna take home the title at the end with that.
Honestly,
that
I like
Thunder
Matt's.
bet.
Yeah, the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the title. I love Denver this year, but plus 850 for the Cavs to come out of the East. They could end up cruising through the East and getting a really favorable lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do like yours. And then you snuck in the Thunder at the buzzer. So yeah, I do like yours, Matt.
I like Fonseca taking long shots in the East, but I just don't like him taking the Hawks.
Well, you want to know the other team I looked at?
Is it the Miami Heat?
4,500.
Is it the Miami Heat? Of course it's the Miami Heat, Brian.
But we didn't mention. Well, by the way, real quick,
I can't do it.
We did not mention Giannis once.
I thought about it, but I
was actually really high on them over the summer and was ready to be like, hey, I'm like coming in and like think they can go over and blah 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 blah. That report came out this week, and I'm like, nope.
I also don't think like Miles Turner makes sense on this team.
I like him. I think it makes a lot of because like he's a stretch 5.
No, sure, but like Miles Turner, your second best player on this team. Does that make sense to you? Like that's where I'm like, and the waving and stretching shit. I don't know. I don't like the basketball karma of Milwaukee.
Markkanen, where art thou?
Where art thou? All right, it's gonna do it for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments at youtube.com/The Action Network who you think won this draft. If you want to hit me on Twitter, you can hit me at HB Basketball. Let us know. Brandon Kravitz thinks that he won it. He did well. I think everybody did really well. This is a fun exercise. I appreciate you guys joining us. Sean Little at Chicago Flow on Twitter and the Action Network app. Bryan Fonseca at Bryan Fonseca NY on Twitter and the Action Network app. Catch his YouTube page, Bryan Fonseca. Brandon Kravitz, the game, Orlando Magic pre and post game, and the Favorites podcast, which you should be listening to right now. Thanks to David Payne, my favorite producer in the whole wide world. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. This is the last episode for the week. We'll see you on Sunday night for the Eastern Conference preview with Brandon Anderson. Have a great weekend. Till then,